Hello, everybody. This is Sophia Mona Lisa of the Roseville Mystery School and the Golden Ray Center. And today is June 9th, and I am having a spontaneous conversation with two unsuspecting collaborators. I kind of shanghaied them. We were having a meeting. I said, I'm getting ready to do a video journal. Do you mind jumping on and joining the conversation? Fortunately, they said they would. My two guests, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, we've got Winsong and Gina Champagne. Both of them are members of the Galactic New Earth Project. And so let me stop the share so you can see them now. And I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves to the audience. So you want to start, Winsong?
Yeah, my name is Maureen. My priestess name is Winsong. I live in Washington State. I live on the Columbia River, and let's see, what else? I'm a member of the New Galactic Project, and I have been for a while now, and we are working with alchemy, and I am proceeding with my study of that. Anything else? I think that's it.
And we're priestess sisters.
We are priestess sisters, and that means a lineage of Nicole Christine.
Yes.
And Magdalene.
Yes. And we met when we went on the Magdalene journey to France in 2019. 19. Okay. I'm having a hard time remembering which year. Yeah. So we've been working together ever since.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Thank you. Gina, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Gina Champagne, and I am a member of the Galactic New Earth Tribe. And I've known Sophia since I want to say around October of 2022.
That is correct.
And then I met Maureen, or Winsong, through the Galactic New Earth Tribe. That's pretty much it for right now anyway.
Okay. So neither of these goddesses have any clue as to what we're going to talk about. You're so brave.
Just remember, paybacks are hell.
Yeah, I know it. This goes back to our discussion that we had at the Resurrection Seed Point for the Leo goddess, the Resurrection Seed Point in the Inanna Underworld journey, when Maureen was talking about, Winsong was talking about how when we go through the ascent phase, which will be initiated in August, so just a couple of months from now, we're going to be working at a whole new frequency. We're going to be working at a new frequency in terms of the higher octave chakras in our crystalline body. And with alchemy, we're going to be working at a whole new frequency. And you mentioned the higher power of the fire element.
Of all four elements.
Of all four elements, but we were specifically speaking to fire because, of course, the Venus synodic cycle that we're in now, which is the Leo goddess journey, Leo is a fire element sign.
Yes. And we will start, of course, with that. Yes.
Yeah.
That will be. Yes, absolutely.
Right. So what's significant is today is June 9th. 5 days after the Resurrection Seed Point. So when you go into the Inanna Underworld, it's down, 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 down. According to the myth, you're hanging on the hook for 3 days dead, right? And then you have the Resurrection Seed Point when Venus and Sun come together. Now you come back to life, and then it's up, 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 up out of the underworld which eventually is complete when Venus rises as evening star. So we're on this upswing of this Inanna underworld journey. And what happened to me this morning, which is why I created the slides around this journal, and which is why I was excited to share this with you, because another part of the discussion is, please share what's going on with you through the alchemy of the underworld journey, is I started having awarenesses coming in about the frequency upgrade of the fire element.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do my best to try to relay this the way it unfolded, but I did kind of insert some other stuff. So let me go back to the slides. All right. When I realized that I started having, I mean, it's like the dam broke when I started getting all of these ahas, all of this insight into all this wisdom coming in for me personally around the frequency upgrade for the fire element synchronistically. And of course, we've talked about how synchronicities, as most people refer to them, are really guidance, messages, sign pointers for being on your path.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened was, in the process of trying to get all this together in a way that I could express it, you're not going to believe this, Wind Song. You're not going to believe this. I came across, again, synchronistically, serendipitously, I wasn't looking for it. I came across my high priestess intention.
Wow.
And then apparently Judy Keating, who was the high priestess that I worked with, had us create an artistic representation of our intention. I came across the picture of the artistic representation. So first, let me read to you what my intention was for my high priestess process. Now, this was back in 2016, okay? I wrote, and I knew nothing about the Venus synodic cycle then, all right? That's what the beauty of all of this is. I wrote, it is my intention to be in joyful service to the sacred feminine. I offer myself to the goddess as an instrument of her love. I fully surrender to her desire to express herself through me for the purification of humanity's heart and for the purification of the collective consciousness and for the purification of our planet. Well, what I discovered is that when I began the high priestess process in June of 2016, we were in the midst of a Leo goddess journey. And coming full circle, because it was June 2016, we were on the upswing of the Inanna underworld. That was like a month and a half before Venus rose as evening star. And when we started, Venus at that time was in Cancer, right? Water element. We've been talking about how water signs are the divine mother.
Mm-hmm.
She was specifically at the heart of Cancer in terms of degrees. Heart relating back again, heart chakra, compassionate heart, to Leo. Even the words that I used, purification, fire, humanity's heart, the compassionate heart, the Christ heart, Leo. Venus was at the heart of Cancer. And then when I did my artistic representation, what did I call it Jagan Matar. Matar is a Sanskrit word for mother. This is like the universal mother. That's what Jagan Matar means. Can
Yeah.
you believe the synchronicities and the timing of it coming full circle in terms of the upgrade of this fire element? My second time, I mean, it's not the second time, but being able to consciously relate this massive paradigm shift in terms of my own spiritual growth, you know, stepping onto the high priestess path, being at that point of the Inanna underworld journey for the Leo goddess.
Yes, it's amazing how that happens. Yeah, just full circle for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, you and I are Capricorns. Our sons are in Capricorns. And of course, Capricorn is an earth sign. And one of the manifestations of the earth element is tracking. And this is why I love to track these events and to track the cycles within the cycles. And the fact that that awareness heightening, which I was oblivious to, showed up in my face without me looking for it today, blows my mind.
That's wonderful. It's really wonderful. Yes.
What do you think,
Very
Gina? Being a Leo?
I am the fire sign, yes. Because I'm thinking everything comes full circle, and we are in the Leo royalty goddess cycle right now. And we are this is June. We are in a water sign, and so the fire burns everything off, and I'm all about tearing it all down. And the water, as I said the other day in a different conversation that you and I had, the water after the fire fire is followed by, well, it's actually followed by earth. But even so, then there's water, then there's air. You know, those are the four cardinal, elements. But it's like water washes it clean after it has been burned. And that's kind of where we are. And then you need the earth, because what happens in the forest, this is just now coming in, okay, but it's like what happens in the forest is why do we not allow the forests to burn? Why don't we anymore?
Right.
We haven't done it for a very long time, and it's given us very unhealthy forests.
Yes.
Because when with that burning, the ashes become earth, and then you need the water for the new growth, and you need the air to kind of blow things around and spread the seeds. That's just kind of how I see it. It's just really interesting. And we all know that there are no such things as coincidences. Everything is a synchronization of some sort. And it's the same thing. It's like I feel like we are going through some stuff right now, and God knows we are, but not just us as individuals, but as we know, all of the entire world is going through, whether you know it or not. We are all in the underworld right now.
That's right.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know, according to the myth of Inanna, I'm supposed to be hanging on as a piece of meat, just hanging on the thing dead, but I don't feel like that.
No, because since the resurrection point, she is resurrected in the underworld and is now making this ascent journey out of the underworld. So we are on the other side of that resurrection seed point, which is why it's fascinating to me that all of this information about the upgraded frequencies of the fire element are already starting to filter through that quickly after the resurrection seed point for this fire element journey. And getting back to the fire and water. What are the first two steps of alchemy, Maureen?
Fire.
Purification. Purification by?
Fire, purification by water.
First two
Calcination.
steps.
Yeah. First two steps. That's true. Yeah.
The first one is calcination. And what were you going to say about the second one?
It's dissolution.
Dissolution. That's right. Purification by fire, purification by water. Step one, step two. So this is insane that all of this has been unfolding. And of course, this is my life, because what I've learned is, you know, people say, oh, there's no such, what did you say about synchronicities? That I don't remember what you said.
There's only synchronization. There is nothing.
It's not random. Nothing is random.
Right.
Oh.
So what I've learned for myself, this is the big awareness I've had around what synchronicities really are. For me, it's my soul language. It's my soul, my divine self, my I am speaking to me, showing me. That's why I'm just like, wow, about this. Now you'll have to feel into it for yourself as you're experiencing synchronicities from this awareness. You may have a different soul language, but feel into it and see, ooh, are synchronicities also my soul language? Because the kinds of synchronicities you have, if it's your soul language, are going to be very different than my synchronicities, but it could still be a soul language. So just be aware of that. Now, this is the other thing you need to say. I need to know about this synchronicity, what my soul was sharing with me. I told you, when I stepped onto this high priestess path, Venus was at the heart of Cancer. Now, some people say the heart of an astrological sign is 15 degrees. I say it's 14 degrees, because while there's 30 degrees in a sign, and half of that is 15, we count them from 0 to 29. That's why, and that's just my autism splitting hairs. Okay, I'm going to be transparent about my Asperger's splitting hairs. 14 for me is the heart. Well, guess what's standing across the sky from 14 degrees of Cancer? For me, it'll be in a different place for you, Winsong. It's our star, Vega. Yes. So when I stepped onto that path, not only was I in the midst of this Leo goddess journey, right at the top of the Inanna underworld, right before, a month and a half before Venus Rose's evening star, it's standing across the sky from my personal star, Vega. Let's go look at Vega. This is going to blow your mind. And of course, this will be meaningful for you, Winsong, because Vega is your star as well. Okay, what are some of the things I want to point out? The light frequencies from Vega give people an awareness of the essence of interconnectivity from a common source. The awareness of the vibrational characteristics of one's own soul comes forth from this common bond that people share. The energy of Vega relates to soul interconnection and bonding at deep levels. The soul note is an essential vibration associated with one's soul family and the roots of that soul family in the greater whole of humanity as one. Okay, Vega can create a deeper attunement to soul note, soul purpose, soul vibration, connection with one's soul by attuning to the universal language. Think about the frequencies of Vega coming in when I stepped onto this high priestess process and came through with this intention. This was a soul message, a message from my soul to me.
Mm.
Isn't that flippin' phenomenal?
Yes, it is. Yes.
What this reminds me of, Winsong, and we kind of had a similar discussion previous when we were talking about the things that we do in our priestess practice and through our priestess process and high priestess process, we talked about dance.
Mhm.
One of the things we do, which you know, is we set intentions, don't we? I set an intention for my priestess process. I set an intention for my high priestess process. We're going to start setting intentions for every phase of the synodic cycle.
Good. Okay.
That ascent journey is being initiated in August. We're going to set intentions for that ascent phase when we're working with those higher frequencies of not only the crystalline body chakras at the higher octave, but also the higher frequencies of the elements and their second power.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this phenomenal that this is coming in as we're preparing for that ascent journey?
Yes.
What you
Okay,
need to know.
and the intention will be for, it'll be around each step, or
Well, so that's an interesting question. In my mind, I'm seeing each person will make their own intention statement for the phase. And we know you could even make a personal intention for each gate activation. You can make a personal intention for each step in the alchemical process.
Mm-hmm.
So, we could decide collectively as a tribe how we want to do that, or we could say, okay, we're just going to each make an intention for the ascent phase. And if you want to do an intention for each gate and an intention for each alchemical step, you can do that privately, but we can figure that out. But how much more empowering will the journey be when we choose to consciously engage it with these intentions?
Yeah. I like that idea, as long as it's open,
Mm-hmm.
as it's open-ended,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot more stuff that will be coming in besides an intention that we personally feel. Like I said before, there's going to be a great deal more influencing the collective
Mm-hmm.
than we have previously experienced.
Right. And
So,
so, go
yeah,
ahead.
it's just not us. The intention, can be full blown to include not just ourselves, but the collective in a different way, because we can't tell the collective how they need to experience this. That's not okay in a free will world. But we can open it up so that the work we do it'll be more accessible. And so people will make their own decisions, they will make their own discoveries. And so the intention for the collective, has to think about that openness, about that freedom that they have to accept or reject, or to accept on a different level, or wherever they are. We meet them where they are. I guess that's what happens here. Yeah.
Right. And you're kind of taking it, what I was envisioning, down a whole different path that I hadn't even considered.
Okay.
Because what I was envisioning is each of us as tribe members individually would set an intention for the entire ascent journey for ourselves.
Yeah.
We could, as a tribe, set an intention for the collective, and I'm not sure how to do that, but that's your mastery, considering the matrices that you created that were for the collective. I mean, that's a
Exactly.
whole nother
Yeah.
thing I didn't even think about.
Yes. Yeah. Now, see, like the Matrix, they were not intended to tell people how to feel.
Right.
They
And
were designed to bring energies together that would be more healing
right,
for issues the collective was facing.
right,
And they didn't have to respond at all to that. That's their
right,
choice. But
right,
but we can do that same kind of thing, is to send out um I don't know, just a way of opening to a new way of thinking. And I think that hopefully we will be able to see that exhibited. Because like I said, my vision was that once the world begins to wake up, there are people who will be totally resistant, and they will be in the playpen and they can still fight with each other or do whatever they want, but it will not affect the rest of the world like it is now.
right.
And that's going to happen just like that. That's
Yeah,
that we figured that out date wise
right.
in April, I think it was something. Anyway, the entire process would happen a lot faster than we thought it
Right.
would.
We just realized that this month when we did your
Yes.
Sophia-Christ mentorship reading. So that we just discovered that this month.
Yes, that's it, wasn't
I
it?
know it
Yeah.
seems like it's been so long ago.
Oh, I know. And then, the seed point for that is different. Um, but boy, was it a biggie. I mean, it
Yes,
was just huge.
yes. Now, this is the other thing to keep in mind, because we don't want to like micromanage or control anything. We want it
Mhm,
to be an authentic, inspirational intention.
mhm,
And it'll be fine, because think about me in June 2016 knowing nothing about the Venus synodic cycle,
mhm,
writing that intention, and
mhm,
8 years later discovering it was perfection.
mhm.
Every piece of where I was in that synodic cycle, unbeknownst to me, was showing up in that intention statement.
Right. That is amazing. And that's very personal.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I recall my introduction. I started my priestess process in 2000, well, working with Venus in 2012. And I had taken the first class with Kaylin and Tammy Runk at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that was my personal uh, Venus return. And I went to Hawaii at the culmination to watch Venus go across the sun.
I remember when that event happened.
Yeah, and we could see it from Hawaii. We had these glasses,
Mm-hmm.
and we put them on and we watched her. She came down and then she went across. She didn't do it like everybody thought she was going to either. It
Good
was
for
really
her.
interesting that she did it her way.
Her way.
Yes.
Well, and
And
as a Capricorn goddess, right? Or was it a Scorpio? No, a
it was
Scorpio
it was
goddess.
the Leo. It was the one before Capricorn, whatever that one was.
Oh, because you said it was a Venus return.
Yeah, 2012 was my Venus return.
Yeah, so that was the Scorpio's goddess on the world stage then.
There you go. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Scorpio goddess was on the stage. Yes. And I had some very deep Scorpio experiences on that island.
Yeah. Yeah.
The big island's kind of magical. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I watched her go
Yeah.
across.
So Gino, you've got a whole different background than I do. I know you've worked with Reiki and some other energetic modalities. What is your reaction, your response to, or what are you being inspired with regarding bringing in this intentional piece?
Well, one thing it just came to mind is, and I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it, because we each have our own intentions. We each come with our own thought processes, for lack of a better term. But what if we each brought a word or a phrase, a short phrase of what we want our intention to be as we go into the ascent journey, correct? And then we put a statement together from each one of our individuals pieces, if it's a word or a couple of words or whatever. And then we say that is our intent for the collective, but you always have to qualify, because it is all about free will, because everybody ain't waking up.
Right.
They
And
don't want to. Yeah.
right.
No, everybody doesn't.
Right. And the intention is not to step on the toes of free will, for lack of a better word. But keep in mind, when we started the Galactic New Earth Project, and we were downloading the rose gold Christos Sophia codes into the different Venus temples, and whatever activation was going on in the sky was, informing those codes that the temple was receiving, that we were receiving, that the collective was receiving. We have permission to contribute in an uplifting way to the collective. Doesn't mean we're stepping on free will. We're giving permission for those that desire to connect with that intention to align with it. And they will receive that in their own field, and their soul will tell them whether or not they are aligned with it or not. So we're not stepping on free will by making a Galactic New Earth Tribe intention for the ascent journey for the collective. And I love that idea of bringing in, like a thematic word for your own personal intention and for each of us, and building a statement around it. I love the idea. I mean, we can work all of that out. I mean, I just honestly wanted to feel your resonance around the idea of bringing that piece in, because I can see now we do that in priestess work, and now I can see, 8 years ago, how I was being informed when I was completely oblivious. And of course, everybody else on the planet who's completely oblivious is being informed as well.
It's about whether you acknowledge the informing, because everybody doesn't.
Right, but they don't have to acknowledge, because at the higher divine self level, they are.
Absolutely. It's the issue is the third and fourth dimension, not the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, ninth, and whatever, however many dimensions they go beyond,
Right.
That's not, you're right. That's never the issue. And so we put it out there, and we say for I guess you would have to go to the fifth dimension, because that's where that unity consciousness starts, not in the fourth, because the fourth is kind of in between. It's a little bit of third, and it's the one that goes back and forth between them, between the full spiritual, as opposed to the fifth, which is 100% in the higher realms.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and what I would suggest is this, without trying to split hairs about how we're going to manage it, is we're not going to micromanage it.
No.
And Maureen Winsong has already spoken to how there's going to be this incredible awakening. We've seen it with that first eclipse in the Virgo Pisces axis. When they wake up, whenever they wake up, it's going to be in their field to receive. So it doesn't matter if they acknowledge it or not. So that was a huge piece. I want to go back to my slides now, because we talked about, Vega, wind song. As a sister who shares the frequencies of Vega, what did you think about that?
Yeah, it's amazing. Of course, I need to work more with that star. Working with stars has been a intellectual process for me, and I need to integrate it, to cross, because I take classes with Eric Ross and Kaylin Castell, and they teach stars. That's what they do with their own program. And I've taken 2 classes, and so they will explain very specific things about stars, what that energy is, and the glyph, and how to creatively work with it, that kind of thing. But I didn't really do it very personally. I think the only star I've really worked with closely is Sirius, because I can see it, and I know it when I see it. But the others, a lot of them you can't see, and I just started reading about how to work with the starlight, which is very different than sunlight or moonlight. And yeah, so it's kind of new for me to work with the stars in this new way, and their energy. And I'm looking forward to that very much.
Right. Well, and of course it's new for me because, Sophia asked me to start working with them when she told me where we were going to be activating the 13th strand of DNA through the 33rd strand of DNA. And we're going to be doing that by engaging the stars. And I was like totally out of my element. I didn't know how that was going to work. And I felt like, how can I do this where I can feel like I'm learning something and I'm not, people aren't thinking I'm a fraud, because I feel like a fraud because I know nothing about it. But I think that because Vega is in my 7th house, that this whole interconnectivity thing that its frequencies bring about enabled me to innately engage these star frequencies from this very personal relationship kind of a position. It was never, it's fascinating for me to hear, well, because your Mercury is right next to your Vega. That's why you are engaging it intellectually. For me, it was never intellectual.
That's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So the value of using or tapping into the frequencies of the stars is just really, again, a part of this upgrading the frequencies of the elements.
Yes.
Especially the fire element, because what star rules you is next to your sun? Fire.
Exactly.
See how that comes full circle?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just getting this piece now. That Vega as my star right next to my sun is a critical piece for each person, whatever their star is, of upgrading their fire element.
Which means I have to go look and see what that is.
My son's right there too. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I says, I have to go look and see what that is because I don't have a clue.
What your star is?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, sweetie, you probably don't remember because I know I've told you. Give me just the month and day. Month and day.
Oh, July 27th.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
So your stars are in the dragon ancient constellation, and you can look at your chart to see which one is closest because you've got two stars. One is, I don't know how you pronounce it, Gianfar,
Yes.
and the other is Kochab or Kohab. I don't know how they're pronounced.
Yeah.
But
I-
those are your two stars, and one of them will be closer to your sun than the other.
I'll have to go look because
Yeah.
I don't have that. That's not in my realm
Okay.
of handiness. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will look when we're done and I will text you, okay?
Okay, that sounds.
And if you don't get a text, remind me because I might be off on some other rabbit hole.
It is not that big a deal, it'll eventually just it'll when I'm supposed to know it, I'll know it. It's okay.
All right. Well, let me get back to the slides here very quickly and get past that Vegas slide and what's next. Okay. So this is the next big piece. And this is the piece that prompted everything that I just shared with you around these first slides in terms of where I was in the Venus synodic cycle, where Venus was in the astrological sky, related to my high priestess process. Okay. This video showed up in my YouTube stream, From Pain to Mastery, The Path of Progress. For those that don't know, this is Saima. I will put the link to this video in the bottom. Okay. What this video is all about is a discussion that was prompted by many of her followers who asked her a specific question. Now, you two are aware that I believe that Saima is an enlightened being, fully enlightened being who is an embodiment or who is aligned with the Divine Mother energies. So the question from her followers is, what did you do in your life? What did you experience in your life for you to become fully enlightened? Okay, great discussion. All right, so what happened was, let me get back to my slides here, is, oh, it's going to want to play this. Hold on, stop. Okay, come on. What happened was, as I was listening to this discussion, halfway through, and this is where it really started coming in, she said something and all of a sudden I was like, ooh, that would be a great keyword for the sun, right? You know how I use in my compendium of astrology keywords, I use keywords for the planetary bodies, for the astrological signs. And when whatever it was that she said, I was like, wow, that would be a great new keyword for the sun. Well, once that popped through in my awareness, all of a sudden it was like boom, 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 boom. All of these keywords coming in around these different energies were like smack dab in my face. And it wasn't until afterwards that I realized, wow, a lot of these keywords are around the fire element signs and the planetary bodies that rule those fire elements. I'm like, wow, this is all new wisdom coming in terms of this fire element frequency upgrade with these keywords that I was getting. Now, you, Gina, you and Winsong hopefully have a copy of my compendium. If you don't, and it's published on isu.com, this little image here, whatever, I can't never remember what they call it. What is it, a GCR or something like that?
Oh God, don't ask me.
Whatever they call it.
That thing is, yeah.
Yeah. Anybody watching can pause and scan that and it will take you to my compendium and you can download it for free. That's my gift to everybody, and everyone in the tribe should have all of my ebooks. And if you don't, I can get the links to you. But anyhow, and by the time that this gets posted, all of the new keywords that I received are in there. I just have to reformat it because it blew up the formatting. So this is how it all started. All of these keywords are related to the fire element. Okay. Well, then, of course, Maureen or Winsong will know, because we've worked with Lisa Michaels, who is one of our priestess sisters in our lineage. She created this elemental forces of creation oracle. And if you go to the book that comes with this oracle deck, to the fire section, this is the card that is on the identifying page for the fire section. Now let me stop the share here. I want to take the time to read to you what Lisa Michaels says about the fire element, and it's very brief. She calls it the action realm. And when you listen to Sai Ma's discussion in that brief video that I showed you, basically the underlying theme, which is why all these keywords for all the fire elements in terms of planetary bodies and signs were popping out at me, is she's talking about the action that she took. And of course, action is fire, right? Fire is the realm of action. So Lisa Michaels says, in the realm of action, you learn to be dynamic, claim your personal power, to let your light shine brightly, and feel passionate about your life. All of those phrases permeate the message that Sai Ma is giving about what happened in her life. What did she do in her life to become enlightened? Well, enlightenment, you would think that that's like a fire, right? Element too, but anyhow, Lisa Michaels writes, fire also teaches you about the mysteries of transformation, literally changing forms. That includes the frequency upgrades. That's why these keywords are at this higher frequency. We're coming through. And it goes on. But it was just mind-blowing to me how the message that Sai Ma was giving was permeated with this wisdom from Lisa Michaels in her elemental forces of creation oracle. And not only that, that's one of the things that she created, but the other thing that she created is this book, Nature's Creation, Alchemy, a sacred guide to the elements of natural rhythms. And I mentioned earlier in our discussion that Winsong had talked about the higher power of the elementals that we're going to be working with on the ascent journey. What is level 1 power? Action. But what is level 2 power? Shamanic consciousness. And of course, with Winsong and I both being Scorpio goddesses, that's totally where we are. That's where alchemy is. It's all a part of shamanic consciousness, this higher power of fire, which, by the way, I hope I'm not going to give anything away here. Both Winsong and I have our natal Venuses and our natal Isis, right? The cosmic Sophia in Sagittarius, the fire element. Do you see, Winsong, how we are being alchemized through this Inanna underworld to birth these higher frequencies specifically related to fire. What do you have to say about that?
I agree. You know, well, the shamanic consciousness obviously is where I prefer to be. You know, I'm most comfortable there. Scorpio is my rising. So that's where I put my attention. So yeah, that's amazing. I had totally, I knew that there was a second power, developmental task, all those different things associated with the elements, but I had not reviewed that for a while. So that's going to be a part of our ascent. I know that, but you know, how that's wonderful. I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah. And the soul quality of fire should be no surprise. Passion.
Yes.
Passion. And it comes through in my work with what my piece of it is. And it comes through in your work in terms of what your piece of it is. And, you know, I just said to the tribe members, each of you are getting ready to bring forth your piece for this galactic new earth tribe. And it will be as passionate for you as our pieces are for us. And for Gina, you know, being, you know, having your son in Leo, also Karen, another tribe member of the project in Leo, you know, with my son in Capricorn, I want to say, track this, track how you are experiencing this whole new level, these upgraded frequencies, because your sun in Leo, which it rules, is fire on fire. These upgraded frequencies of fire are coming in. You guys could be the wet shower for us. Now, you may find a fire way to quote unquote track that. Me being sun in Capricorn, I'm going to recommend track it, but there may be maybe you need to dance it out and find a way that you are getting those frequencies. Is anything coming into you, Gina, around this as I'm speaking to it?
I haven't found I'm waiting. I guess I'm still waiting. I don't really know, you know, to be honest with you, Sophia. I am a passionate individual. To find what I'm passionate about on this level has not materialized. And with all the kites that I keep seeing and all the charts that I've had done, okay, so when do I get it off the ground? That it hasn't, again, it hasn't come to, it hasn't, spirit hasn't said, here it is, here it is, here it is. And so I wait. And maybe I'm not paying attention enough. I don't really know. But I get the impression that it's gonna hit me like a ton of bricks when it does. And so I'm learning patience because I'm going, okay, well, I'm not really sure, but okay. You know, maybe I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing already, and I just don't recognize it.
Right.
You know, I mean, the light bulb goes on at some point.
Right. Right. I hear you. I hear you. Winsong, in terms of the fire element, other than dancing, because obviously dance is an expression of the fire element, what are some other practices that you might recommend to Gina that are fire elemental practices that could help her tune in to receive what that passion is for her?
My feeling is work with fire. Put a candle, light a candle, and do some meditation with the flame. I've done that, and that I find that to be really, really effective. And dance to shamanic music. There are several records or recordings specifically for shamanic experience. I would also recommend you do a blindfold dance. Wear the blindfold. I did it for an hour. I couldn't believe how fast it went with Lisa. She did it initially for 3 hours. I don't know how that works, you know, but it's going into a trance, and things come that wouldn't normally be in your consciousness. They're in your subconscious. So you ceremonially raise the scarf or the mask and you put it on, play the music, and begin to dance. Make sure you're in a safe place, of course, you know, so you won't hit the chair or the table, or just stay in one place and move, whatever, however it's safe for you. She was on, when we did it, she watched to make sure we didn't run into each other and that we had our space, you know. So when you're alone doing it, you just have to be careful of your surroundings. But I found that to be an extremely effective way of getting some additional information that you weren't expecting.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember,
Yeah.
the fire element is about action. And so,
Yes.
for instance, if someone in your community is doing a drumming circle at night around a fire,
Mhm.
that would also be a great opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. My priestess sister and yours, Annette Peterson, she was a drum maker, and she designed my shadow drum. She developed creatively the ropes, how the drum is roped so it looks like fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It was amazing how she did that. I should show it to you sometime, how she made that look like fire. And so I use that all the time.
Yeah.
And when I'm working, it's called a shadow drum. That's what
Mhm.
it's developed to do.
Right.
And it's anointed with what's that oil that goes with the divine feminine. Mary Magdalene used it all the time.
Oh,
myrrh
is it
No,
the
or
one that
frankincense?
Nancy had when we were up at the tour in Renler Chateau?
it might have been.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
can't
probably was, because
Yeah, I
that
can't remember the name of it.
I have the little vial of it that's left, but it's specifically used. She used it when she anointed Jesus' feet. You know, when she washed his feet, she used this oil. Shoot, my mind is. I'll have to get it to you. But it was anointed. The drum was anointed with that oil, and that was just specifically a priestess thing
Yeah,
that she did for anybody who. She's not making them anymore, but
right.
she was magnificent, and I use that drum a lot.
Yeah,
The
that's
other one is Sekhmet, was devoted
yes,
to Sekhmet,
yes.
and I use that too during the Leo time.
And remember, Sekhmet is the Leo goddess.
Right.
So
So
anything you
she's
want to do to engage her ceremonially.
Mhm. And drumming is shamanic.
Mhm.
It's
That's
just,
why I recommended it.
yeah, right. It is. It's totally.
So the other thing that you could do is, when I lived in New Smyrna Beach, they would do drumming circles on the beach at sunrise. So if
Mm.
somebody's not doing a drumming circle with a fire, you could do a drumming circle at sunrise.
Yeah, my shamanic a woman who I worked with, did some soul retrieval work with me. She drummed up the sun every day. She'd go out there before it rose and she would drum until she saw it.
Wow.
And of course, I'm the one that drums her down, him down. I drum the sun down.
I go out and have my coffee on the balcony as he's coming up. So I engage him that way. And I
Yeah.
talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
I do. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you're so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your radiance with me. I love your brilliance. I'm engaging.
You do that.
Yeah.
And we learn to do that with the moon.
Mhm.
And we learn to do that with the planets.
Mhm.
And now we're learning to do that with the stars.
You're absolutely right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. And isn't it fascinating how we've been learning these things and now we're going into the Pisces goddess journey, which is unity consciousness.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me get back to my slides and let me show you what the keywords that were coming through from Simo's discussion were /are. Okay. Here she is, Sekhmet, our Leo goddess. All right. So these are the fire elements in terms of astrology. You've got Mars, which rules Aries, and they rule the first house. You've got the sun that rules Leo, and they rule the fifth house. And you've got Jupiter that rules Sagittarius, that rules, and they rule the ninth house. Now, I find frequently, depending on how I'm reading, that the keywords kind of can like cross boundaries between their elemental group. Think of each group like a family, right? A family shares resources, right? So the keywords for Mars, the keywords for Aries, the keywords for the first house, they sometimes get shared amongst the other members of the family. But specifically what came up for me when I was listening to her, and remember, I wasn't aware at that point. It wasn't until after I received all of this that I got the big download about these new keywords being frequency upgrades for the fire element. For Aries, inner desire. For the sun, inner power, inner drive, inner force, inner strength, self-confidence, sustainable success. And she talks about how she realized she needed to figure out how to step on a path of progress. And for me, because my sun is in Capricorn, it was like, ooh, path of progress. That's an upgraded frequency for the Capricorn realm. For Leo, she talks about how she really had to pull on her courage. And of course, courage is known as a keyword for Leo, but sometimes I think if you go back to like the Wizard of Oz and people know about the cowardly lion and he had to get the medal to get his courage, that they don't really connect with how courage is really a fundamental part of the Leo frequencies, and how wherever Leo is in your chart, how it can clue you into the areas and the ways in which you are innately courageous. I think most people would probably not consider themselves to be courageous or have any innate courage, which is why I went ahead and added it here. Also, creative expression. Now, she was talking about how she made a conscious choice, how she became aware of how could she create a different destiny. And so destiny is a key word for Jupiter, because basically destiny is your urge to connect with something greater than yourself. And I know that in Vedic astrology, they have a way of looking at the charts to determine where your destiny point is in relation to the north node and the south node, which they call Rahu and Ketu, I think. But I'm not a Vedic astrologer, okay? And so, combining these fire elements, creating your destiny, that's like fire. Sagittarius, she talked about how she was having to innovate her life and the way she wanted to create her life. And so she needed to create a new destiny, direct her destiny. Well, what do we know about Sagittarius? It's the archer that pulls that arrow, right? Directing where you want your destiny to go. And of course, innovation, which we often think of in terms of Aquarian terms, but in the fire element, focusing on building the momentum for how you are creating and directing that destiny. Focus, we know, building momentum. Focus can be, again, an air elemental sign, especially related to Aquarius, but with building momentum, we know that fire moves rapidly. And so if you want to build momentum, bring in the fire element. So what are your reactions to these upgraded frequency keywords in these fire elemental pieces?
Well, fire, yeah, does move. Fire moves very rapidly because it consumes everything in its path.
The
it
more
just
that it
does.
has to consume, the faster it
It
goes.
moves. Absolutely. I mean, if it consumed everything, it would fizzle out. I mean, it does. I mean, it would. I like the creative energies. I like the creative, something I don't really do well.
The creative expression.
Yes, the creative expression. That's what I was thinking. It's like, okay, so how, what is that? So that'll be one of the things that I can look at.
Yes.
How am I supposed to do that?
Yeah. Well, let's reframe that. Instead of saying, how am I supposed to do that? What did I come in with in terms of my innate way to creatively express? That maybe through whatever your family dynamics were or how you were molded in school, got squelched or got silenced.
Well, being raised by an earth sign, I was squelched.
Because if you throw earth on a fire, what does it do?
It snuffs it out. Yeah, it does. And interestingly, my father was a fire sign, but he married an earth sign. My sister is a water sign. And it's just interesting, that dynamic, because that fire sign, and because he's the most aggressive of the fire signs. Daddy is an Aries. And I'm a Leo, so I'm not as aggressive as he is. But what did she do? She put his fire out.
Well, and let's talk about aggressive as a key word for Aries. We know it's a shadow keyword.
It is.
The illuminated side of that is assertive. And with Epona in Leo, right? The Celtic horse goddess in Leo. What is the horse medicine? Lion heart wisdom, where you can be assertive without being aggressive. And so you and your father were actually natural allies, but with your mother being an earth sign, and of course this is very generalized, right? This is like a big umbrella generality. And your water, and your sister being a water sign, earth puts out fire, water puts out fire. Water and earth work well together because they're on the same axis.
They are.
You see that dynamic that was fundamentally set up in your home?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So
I
it's
know the
interesting
impact
to
it
me.
had on me. You know, I
Yeah.
know how I was impacted.
Yeah.
Um, Lord knows I felt it
Yeah.
my entire life.
Yeah. So let me go back to that slide, Gina, because I want
Sure.
to ask you, of all of those new upgraded frequency keywords for fire, what I would like to know, and I know you already said that you're really attracted to creative expression,
Hmm.
but are there others that you're feeling really resonant with? And second question, are there any of these that you're aware of that have started showing up for you recently?
Um, well, I definitely the inner strength, that self-confidence is becoming more uh it's coming out. It's exposing itself. Let's put it that way. Um, and the inner drive, not yet, but I liked that the creative expression for me seems to just say that it's going to what will manifest from the creative expression is going to be the sustainable success.
Wow.
I don't know that, but
Mhm.
that's what I feel.
And that's what you want to go with, what you feel, because it's not about knowing, it's not the lower mind.
No, no, it really isn't. And you know, I'm good with being the Leo and with the sun and all that. I'd have to go back and look at my, in fact, I got to go get all that stuff and find all my little stuff that I've got tucked away. Um, it, the, I don't think I have a problem with inner power because I know I have that. That's just something I have. And the self-confidence, I don't necessarily feel it, but I have heard from many, many, many that they don't like the amount of confidence that I come in with. That makes people very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
you know,
Because what is it mirroring back to them? Their
what they
lack
don't
of
have, their
self-confidence.
lack of. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and I mean, I know I've got the strength and it that I have no problem with knowing that I have inner strength.
Mhm.
I've seen myself through with the help of, you know, the Sophia-Christ. I know that that's there and I draw on it when I
Right.
have to,
Right.
you know,
Right.
um, that, and I am an action person. It's a good quality to have, and it has served me well, where people say, well, if I ask her to do something, I don't have to follow up because I know she's going to do it.
Right.
She's going to get it done.
Right.
It's just kind of who I am. And that is something that on the other side of that, from the shadow side, is I have very little patience for people who don't take action,
Right.
even my own children.
Well, it's good that you have that awareness heightening.
That's very true. So
Yeah.
this has been very eye-opening for me, this journey that I've been on for these last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I started this path, I want to say back in like 14, which is when I first got introduced to Reiki and other things that, you know, have evolved since. Um, and I'm becoming more comfortable with myself, just truly just loving myself and taking care of myself. Something that, well, you guys are not all, well, you in particular, Sophia, you're not nearly, you're about 10 years behind me because you were born in 63 and I was born in 53, you
Yeah.
know? And Maureen, I don't know where you are in that grand scheme of things, but it's like I am getting comfortable and from where we are how we were raised, we've been told to tone down.
Yep. Did you ever hear me in one of my journals where I talked about when my parents were not religious? So to be one summer I got to go to Bible study school or whatever with one of my friends, and how I loved the song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine." And my favorite verse is, "Put it under a bush. Oh no, I'm gonna let it shine." I loved that song. And of course, something is as so simplistic as that, so innocuous as that, was an expression of my natal Venus in Sagittarius. And of course, we know from the previous slide that Vega frequencies relate to music. See how this stuff shows up in miraculous ways that you would think that means nothing.
Well, but we've been told a lot of what we have all been conditioned into, and I don't know how else to put it, because I think that that's an accurate statement, is you don't want to shine too bright.
You know, that message came through in the movie, and I think I've spoken about this before too. That movie, The Holiday, with Cameron Diaz and Kate
Winslet,
and she's having the dinner with the old man, and he's like, you know, I don't get this. You know, you're acting like the best friend. When are you going to be the leading lady of your life? And being the leading lady of your life is a sun in Leo. You have got to be the leading lady in your life, not the best friend, not the supporting actress.
Mm-hmm. I've seen. I love that movie. It's a good movie.
Beautiful movie.
You know, yeah, it is. Was it Jude Law? That was
Jude
the other
Law.
one.
Yeah.
It was the brother for Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
No, it was Kate Winslet's brother.
Yeah.
Because she was the one from England. Yeah.
So, Windsong, I want to give you an opportunity to step forward. Let's go back to this slide and let's ask the same question. Are any of these upgraded frequency keywords really speaking to you in the moment? And are you aware of any that are starting to show up? Let's just say, at least from the Inanna underworld, maybe let's say from the beginning of the year.
Yeah, definitely sustainable success. That's the big one for me. It's easy to backstep. You can go so far, and then all of a sudden you think, no, not ready. Go and step back. You know, There's a commercial that I absolutely adore. It has a lot to do with courage too, and it's about women facing their biggest fears. And the woman with the wolf,
yes,
she steps back. The woman in the restaurant whose boyfriend is becoming engaged conversationally, inappropriately, perhaps with another woman. There's another part of that too. And then in the end, I think one of them is a public speaker, and she steps back. And in the end, they all step forward and meet their challenge. That's sustainable success. And I think that is a very, very important quality that I need to address. Path of progress, sustainable success. Yeah.
Well, and before you mention any others, what's coming through right now that I want to speak to is that for both of you, Windsong with sustainable success, Gina with creative expressions, perhaps if you feel inspired, right? That's a fire element word, Aries word. You may choose to use those specific keywords in your intention statement for the ascent journey.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That would be appropriate for me. Yeah.
It's a
Are
very
there-
good idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, yeah. Winsong, are there any of these high frequency keywords that have come in that you're aware of that have been showing up within you recently?
Inner drive.
Ooh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's a very it's real important for me right now.
Mhm.
Because I have things now that I want to achieve. Things I want to know, that I want to be more secure with.
Mhm.
And so yeah, that's definitely a part of this ascent journey for me.
Mhm.
Um, Sustainable success, inner drive. Yeah. I think I'm getting stronger.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
that's fantastic.
Courage. You know, I have a lot of things in Leo, but it's my moon and my midheaven and my Saturn and my Pluto.
Mhm.
Um, that's a lot in Leo, but they all haven't learned to work together very well.
So
Um,
what you could set as your intention on the ascent journey,
Mhm.
if you choose, is to intend that those elements of your Leo frequencies learn how to creatively express with each other.
And that's really good. Thank you for that. Yes, I very much would love uh, to have that feeling, have that expression of unity there,
Yes,
because
yes, yes.
they haven't always been in unity with each other. And I
Mhm.
didn't learn them like that.
Mhm.
Saturn and Pluto both uh, aspecting my moon that way sort of shut me down. So um, I need to realize that they were allies all the time and not, yeah.
So
What?
this is what's coming through right now. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when it comes, I got to say it. So what I'm hearing is the reason your moon was shut down by Pluto and Saturnia in your chart. Remember when you were born? Very patriarchal time. It was 1940, what?
7.
47.
The men were coming back from the war and back into the lead of families and the work universe. And
That's right. And the sacred feminine and the divine mother were not the leading ladies, were they?
No, they
They
were not.
weren't even the supporting actress, right? They hadn't even gotten scraped their way up. They were like the worker bees, or what do they call it?
Well, see, yeah, they had been the
Yes,
backbone
I
of
know.
America,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they were put in a role that they didn't think was important enough.
They
And
were let out for a taste of freedom. And then when the men came back, they had to go back into that sequestered role. There was that movie with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell that they did that was about that very theme. Do you remember what that movie was? Where she's working.
Overboard?
No, no, no. They were very young when they made this movie, where she is working at the airplane manufacturing plant, I think.
oh, I didn't see that
Oh,
one.
no, I haven't seen that
Oh,
one.
you gotta see it, Maureen, because it's totally from your that's the storyline is from your generation.
Mm,
But
okay.
the point that I'm hearing is that's why you experienced your moon being shut down by those powerful energies of Pluto and Saturnia,
Mhm.
especially in Leo.
Oh yeah.
Except for
They-
that brief period of time when the women came out to run everything while the men were gone,
Mm-hmm.
they were not the leading lady. They weren't even the supporting actress.
No, because they
Can
had
you
to.
imagine being given a budget to run your household on? And if it's not sufficient, having to somehow tighten the purse strings to make it sufficient?
Well, yeah, I mean it,
Yeah.
because the thought was is that, well, we needed them to take on all um these roles and get out there and build the engines and build the planes and do all the different things that they did. You know, Rosie the Riveter, that was the, you know, the woman with the strength. And then when the war is over with, all these men are coming back, and now you have to go back and do the other because they
Right,
hadn't known any differently. They
right,
hadn't known any different
right.
at the time. So it's like, but now I've had a taste of this
Exactly.
and actually contributing, and now you're telling me that I'm not worthy to contribute anymore.
But imagine being a child growing up with that predominant cultural belief. I mean, thank you for mentioning Rosie the Riveter. Look at that.
Mhm.
That is
Mhm.
a total patriarchal, masculine representation of a woman.
Yeah. And that is that was sort of the patriarchy's way of putting women back in their place.
Right.
Yes, it was. But if you think about it, my father was a flyboy. He was a pilot.
Uh-huh.
He was a bomber pilot. And I don't know if you know much about nose art, but many of the bomber planes had pinups that they
Yes.
painted
Yes, yes,
on the nose of the planes. Yes, yes.
yes.
And those were all about women in being in a different, not even a good role. I mean, it was
No, they were
women
all
as
sexualized.
objects, and
Yes.
and the pinup art of that time uh, is overwhelmingly anti divine feminine.
Right, right.
Well, yeah, well
You know,
let's just keep women second class citizens.
Yes.
exactly. And you know
Which
that
is why, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
which is
Go
why
ahead.
they weren't even the supporting actress or the best friend, right? Because they were second class
Well,
citizens.
the thing that got those guys, um, they thought about those pinups is what they, I don't know if it inspired them or it appealed to their masculinity. Uh, that might have been it. There was a definite reason that
Right.
that type of art was on the nose plane. Not everything. My dad flew a plane called "I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen," uh, and that was one of the tame names. um, and there was no other nose art, but they had the pinups and the bombs. How many bombs have you dropped alongside the plane? Like not just on the bedpost, so to speak. Um, it's just the way that they got through the war,
Mm-hmm.
and I make no judgment on that, but I do know that it put women back.
Yeah.
It did, because it was, rather than the country or the patriarchy, for I don't even, capitalizing on the joint effort of the women in the workforce with the men.
Mhm.
it it did exactly what we were talking about. It was like, okay, well, you were good enough when we needed you to do that, but you're no longer good enough.
I
No,
call
you've
that
got
the
to, yeah,
spare, I call that the spare tire syndrome. They'll get you
right.
out of the
Yeah.
trunk to keep the car running, but as soon as they get the
Yeah.
new tire, you're thrown back in the trunk.
And it's real weird because the person who was representing women at the time, the first lady, was Eleanor Roosevelt,
Yeah,
one of the most independent
right.
thinkers of her time.
And extremely progressive in her thinking, not only
Yes,
independent thinking, but very avant-garde in her thinking.
exactly. And so when she came out and said, you've got to give up your jobs for the men, you know, I mean, that was like being stabbed in the back
Sure.
almost, you know,
Sure. Sure.
for our mothers.
Yeah.
Not me, but, you know, she, because she had been so strong through this, you
Right.
know, supporting the women and the men,
Right.
just really, a really strong personality.
Yeah.
I think she outweighed her husband as far
Yeah.
as being a strong personality.
Right.
He
Right.
Very
was,
much so.
Right.
yeah.
Very much so. I mean, didn't she, after he got his, when he got polio,
Mm.
didn't she become his legs and go in the places that he couldn't go?
She did a lot of that, but he also had a woman companion,
Yes.
and her name was Lucille.
Yeah. Let's
And
not go
so,
down that route. That's like
well,
really going. So to pull
that's
this,
another woman.
yeah, to
Hmm.
pull this conversation back in, Windsong, related to your moon, Pluto, and Saturnia working together in your Leo frequencies with these higher frequency keywords, you know, coming together in a creative expression to sustain, to be able to create this environment for sustainable success. That could be the focus, could be the focus of your intention for the ascent journey. And I love that you each connected with some of these higher frequency keywords. It would be worth, again, because I'm a sun in Capricorn, tracking as we go through the ascent journey, which others of these high frequency keywords start to step forward within each of us, and what other high frequency keywords are going to be coming in now, because this is just the beginning. 5 days after the resurrection seed point, Venus and Sun, the fire element. 5 days, this stuff is already starting to come in. So imagine through the rest of this Inanna underworld journey, and as we go through the ascent journey, what kind of high frequency keywords are going to be coming in. And I'm just now hearing that the high frequency keywords that are coming in are being translated from the light language of the quantum timeline that we bounced onto at the Jupiter, or excuse me, at the full moon in Sagittarius fire full moon that we just had. Isn't this flipping unbelievable?
Yep,
How
it all comes together.
it all
Mhm.
comes together. It's like the consciousness with this in with the approach of the Virgo Pisces eclipse season in September and the approach of the Pisces goddess journey in March. It's like the consciousness has been given permission, just like we talked about the boundaries that are related to Pisces that get merged because there are no boundaries. The consciousness has been given permission for these higher frequency keywords to come in, and the words are just translated from the light language of that quantum timeline we've bounced onto. Incredible, isn't it?
Mhm.
So before I do our closing, thinking about everything that we've discussed with the fire element frequencies being upgraded and revealing the upgrade of the frequencies to us,
Mhm.
5 days after that resurrection seed point in the Leo goddess Inanna underworld journey, what is it that you want to say in closing around this really what I find profoundly miraculous unfolding today?
reach down and find what you know is there. Go within and find the strength to do what you are passionate about doing.
It's a very good message for you, Gina. Tap
Mm.
into that when you listen back to the replay, because that is a direct message from your I am presence to you.
Yeah, that's good.
When
Mine is,
Sanjay,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Mine is Woman Up.
God. Woman
Yeah.
up.
Woman Up.
We got to write a song about that.
Yeah, right.
I think Helen Reddy already wrote one, didn't she?
I am
I am
woman, hear
woman,
me
hear me
roar.
I am
roar.
Woman, Hear Me Roar. The
Yep.
anthem for the 70s. Yes.
And
I
it's the
remember.
anthem for the Leo goddess.
Yep.
today.
Way before Katy Perry.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So I want to thank both of you from the bottom of my heart for having the courage to say yes when I made the invitation, not knowing what this was going to be about. That's kind of appropriate, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm-
So real quickly, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has stayed with us through this entire conversation. Please give this video journal a thumbs up so it'll get out to more people. If you haven't subscribed yet to my YouTube channel, here's the link for the Roseville Mystery School. Be sure to ring the bell so you'll be notified when I send out more content. And if you like my work, I'm starting to step forward in my self-confidence to make the ask. If you are getting anything out of my work, appreciate my work, if you would like to support me by buying me a coffee, you can make a very small donation, a $5 donation one time, a $5 donation monthly. I think you can even make a $1 or $2 donation, however much you want. But it would be really nice to receive that support and acknowledgement from you when you buy me a coffee. And this is the link that you can go to do that. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to Winsong and Gina. That was so much fun. And in alignment with the fire element theme, it was so enlightening. Until the next time, all our love, hearts to heart. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.